Hello everybody, welcome back to Future Fiber. This is a channel where I talk about all the crafty things that I do. It's mostly knitting and one crochet today. I have another knitting podcast update for y'all. It's been, I think, a little under a month since I filmed the last one, and this might be one of the first episodes where all the work in progress projects from the last video is not finished in the next video, this current video. So it's a first for me. I've had a lot of time to knit in the past month, which has been great, but also kind of hard on my hands. My wrists hurt, and they've not hurt like this in a really long time, so I guess I gotta slow down a little bit, or like wear wrist braces or something while I knit. It's a whole thing. Let's get into it. So first of all, I am wearing one of the finished objects. This is the square tee by Knitrohi, and I knit this with Hikoo CoBaSi DK weight in white, and then this is Cascade Ultra Pima in navy as a color point. I had a little bit of this left over from a different project that I'll talk about next, but it was just enough to do these I-cord bind offs. And then the bottom I didn't do contrast, I just did bind off with this CoBaSi, and I think I bought 4 balls of CoBaSi. I'll double check, and then if I'm wrong I'll correct it, but I'm pretty sure I bought 4 balls and I used pretty much all of it. I just have like this much left, so if I knit like 3 or more rows on the bottom of this shirt, then that would have been pretty much it. So if you give a little bit more length, or maybe if you knit a size larger than I knit, then 4 balls is going to be complete, like very a good amount of yarn, and that always makes me feel good because I don't like having a bunch of yarn left over from a project, because usually I don't like reusing, yarns. So yeah, I knit the third size, I forget what the sizing is, and the fit is pretty much exact to the last square tee that I knit using the Noro Kakigori in the colorway Akashi. That one also had a very similar fit and ease, so I pretty much like did the same thing. I didn't really modify the pattern a lot. The only thing that I did was knit more in the body and knit in the sleeves. So the sleeves, there's about 1.5 inches or 2 inches of extra sleeve length, and then I am a taller person. I'm 5'7", so that's like 169 centimeters or 170 centimeters, and on me it comes about that much. There's my elbow, and this is the sleeve. I could have done a couple more rows on the sleeves as well because I had yarn left over, but I think this length is good. You don't want it to be too long, because then I guess the proportions of the shirt kind of starts looking weird. I like having this extra length on the sleeves because I feel like if it's too short, it kind of has this like cap sleeve look on me, and I don't really like that on myself. I think I said that a couple times before, but overall I think this is a really big success. The yarn, I love the yarn. It feels super nice, and it stays off my body and feels kind of dry once it's blocked and washed. I also threw this guy in the washing machine on gentle cycle and then just took it out and air dried it. I think you could probably throw it in the dryer as well. Both of these are cotton, so I don't think there will be a problem, but I do want to make sure the yarn doesn't get super fuzzy too quickly, so I just air dried it and it looks very good. It doesn't have a lot of growth, the yarn, CoBaSi, which I thought was very interesting, because once I took it out of the wash, obviously it was wet, so I thought maybe it had grown a little bit much, but then I positioned it onto the drying rack and then kind of let it sit, and it kind of shrunk back into its original dimensions. So I feel like if you're worried about that, I'm sure there will be like vertical stretch as you continue to wear it and stuff, but I didn't find that it had a crazy amount of growth in the fiber, which I thought was also a plus. Even better because I didn't swatch, and everything turned out perfect. But yeah, I think it looks really neat. The color, I mean, I didn't do the best job. I'm sure you guys can do a better job with the pickup here. I did not do the best job with the pickup of the I-cord stitches around the neck. This is supposed to be more like that. It's a little rounded because I don't know, I wasn't paying attention, and I think I bound off too tight with the I-cord. This material rolls far less than the Noro Kakigori yarn that I used before, so overall I think this combination of yarn and pattern makes for a nicer garment than my first attempt, so I'm very pleased with it. And the length is really good because the last time, I don't know what I was doing. I was just like not, I think I got bored of stocking it. So I like bound off a little bit too early and the garment is very cropped, but then I actually knit further this time. So there's more length in this garment. So yeah. Perfect length for what I wear usually. I love this pattern and I would probably make it again, but maybe you guys are sick of seeing it at this point. So I will reserve it for next summer if I decide to cast on another one. But I think this would also look really good as a long sleeve version too. I don't know. So many possibilities, but solid pattern. A+, looks amazing in my opinion, in summer fibers. So give it a go. The next finished object is the same color scheme, very nautical this summer. I mean, I am not that adventurous with color, so lots of white and blues and stuff. But this is the Simply Striped Tank by Sweater Freak with modifications, and I am finished. Couple of things. Length is shorter than the original. It's simply because I ran out of yarn. I used about ball and 3/4 of Cascade Ultra Pima, and also used Ultra Pima for the contrast navy. And I was really kind of playing yarn chicken with the navy here, because I finished this project first before I finished this, and then I wanted to make sure I had just enough to make these I-cord bind-offs. So I was really like, okay, how much navy of the can I use to finish this rib and things like that. But it all worked out. I did actually run out of yarn. Like, I ran out of the white yarn. Last video I talked about how I ran out of yarn for the white portion, and then I bought yarn online, which was somehow a different weight of Cascade Ultra Pima. There's 2 weights, so keep that in mind. But I bought the lighter version, which honestly, it looks not that different. It looks the same. You can't tell. So that worked out. But then, I guess Ultra Pima Light has less yardage or something. I don't know what it was, but I ran out of yarn again. So if you see the end, this white bind-off section here, the rolled stockinette, is a different yarn. I don't know if it's coming across on the camera very much, but this is slightly yellower. It's because this is CoBaSi. I used whatever I had left to kind of bind off, and because it's at the edges, you can't really tell. It's not that noticeable, in my opinion. Maybe if you have the eyes of a hawk, or you are aware of this mistake, like I'm telling you now, you will notice, but I don't know. If I'm just wearing it about, I don't think people will notice. So, yeah. I think I mentioned that I was knitting size large, basically. I think I ended up knitting somewhere in between a size 3 and a 4 because I miscalculated my stitches. So yeah, take that what you will. The body portion is definitely, I think, wider than a medium, so that's where that is. More modifications that I made are mostly around the edge details. Now what I did was a 2x2 rib and then a rolled stockinette edge so that it has this more of a contrast look to it. The original just has you do, I believe, a stockinette rolled edge, which looks cute too. So if you want to do less work, that's a great option for you. I don't know why I did this other than I wanted to use up the navy. So yeah, pretty cute. I don't love sleeveless things, but this one I feel better about because I've come to realize that I don't like sleeveless tops that are very like skinny straps or come too far off the edge of my shoulders. Like I wanted to kind of cover this area. So it's either that my straps have to be kind of like set wider than normal, or the straps have to be wide enough that it covers like here. I just don't feel that comfortable about showing my armpit regions. This kind of ticks those boxes now because you have this extra fabric here to kind of cover, and it looks really good with everything else I own because I have a lot of blue. So I'm very nautical this summer, wearing this, which is white and navy, cream and navy, whatever. This is white and navy, and then I have all these white and blue button downs, so I'm very like seafaring looking, but like maybe yacht edition and less deadliest catch edition. Oh, one thing that I will say is I did put in a tag here because I kept forgetting. The pattern doesn't have a shoulder seam, and I don't know how I feel about that now because it really makes me, if I'm just holding it like this, a lot of the times, like if you just kind of adjust it, you can tell that this section is supposed to be the back and this is the front. But before I had the tag in, it was like kind of hard to tell. So because I didn't have the shoulder seam to kind of work backwards off of. So if you feel like provisional cast-ons and stuff are kind of finicky, I think you could skip it if you don't mind the shoulder seam. Continuing the finished objects train. This is the monster project that I finished. This is the Tuileries Polo by Knits Per Moi. This took, honestly, it didn't take as long as I thought it would. I got through it pretty quickly for my knitting speed, and I'm really glad that I finished before it got too cold or whatever, because this is really good for summer. The holes make it really breezy, and I knit this with CoBaSi Hikoo CoBaSi in the regular, fingering weight and not the DK weight. So this is even breezier and thinner, and it's really soft. It's just really nice. It has great drape, but isn't too stretchy. I don't know. It's really, I think it turned out really successful, in my opinion. I knit the size 2. I knit size 2, and I basically didn't make any modifications. I tried to knit pretty much exactly to the pattern. The only thing, as I mentioned in the last podcast episode, was I like screwed up the shoulders because I picked up and knit the front panels from the wrong side of the back panel, so I had to do the whole surgery to get it all right sides together. So the shoulder seam has that 3 needle bind off to it, which gives it a little bit extra structure, which I think turned out for the best, honestly, which I'll explain in a little bit. But the sleeves, I think I knit a little bit longer than the original called for, and then the bottom rib I also knit a little bit longer, I think about like 1 centimeter longer than the original called for, and then the body I also knit longer by like 2 or 3 centimeters than the original called for, so it has a little bit of length for me, who is a tall girl, and it hits right pretty much at the same length as this top. So very good, very good. And then I have my these squoval buttons that are kind of like, they're not tortoiseshell, are they? Like shell something. They're plastic definitely, but it gives it a little bit more texture. I don't think I will wear this with all 3 buttons buttoned up. I'm probably going to unbutton the top and wear it like that, but for the sake of showing you, I did this. And the reason why, so I wore this a couple days ago for the first time after I finished it, and I liked pretty much everything about it except the neckline. The neckline was kind of stretching out a bit because of the weight of the sweater. And this is not this is not just like a problem that is specific to this pattern. This is a problem that I noticed in all kind of polo collar shirts that I've knit in the past, or anything with a collar. I had this problem with the Mod Tee by Petite Knit, and I also had this problem in the collared Miu Miu cardigan that I knit. So I just think it's maybe a problem with collared knits in general, where the neckband kind of like stretches out a little bit, and then now your collar is kind of like wide on your shoulders. Didn't love that bit. So what I did was I did this literally today, so it's not completely woven in, but I took a very small crochet hook, I think it was 2.25 millimeters, and then just did a slip stitch all around the neck edge. It's very clean because it's a slip stitch and it has no stretch to it, which makes the collar sit really nicely. Let me just put this on so that you can see where the collar sits now. Okay, see? It sits really nicely, pretty close to my neck, like how you would expect a polo to sit. And then you undo this, and then it's like that. And so you're not exposing your chesticles to the world. And before, it was more like that when I wore it, but now it keeps it shaped like that. And I think with the combination of this yarn, it just looks really neat. It blocked out really nice. All my eyelets, they didn't, like as I was knitting it, like once I blocked it, the eyelets definitely became neater, but I don't feel like the eyelets got bigger. I don't think the lace pattern necessarily like got stretched out with blocking, so I think that is actually a plus. You pretty much, like as you're knitting the garment, you get a pretty exact estimation or whatever of what your finished garment will look like. So I really like that about this yarn. I don't know, I've sung its praises for multiple videos now, so maybe I need to stop talking about it so much, but I'm really pleased with having found this yarn. And I don't actually know how it'll fare as like a sock. I know it is meant to be a sock yarn, but I don't know if I would love a sock with this yarn. I think it'll be kind of, I don't think it'll have enough like elasticity to kind of like stretch itself back into its original position. I don't know, but very successful with the Tuileries Polo. I'm very pleased with how this came out. And I kind of want to also think about maybe knitting a long sleeve version or any other Tuileries garments that Knits Per Moi Sumin has, because the Tuileries vest, I think it is called, top, where it's just like a sleeveless version and it has buttons all the way down. That one is so cute too. And I think the color that she chose for the sample, the light blue, just like very cute, very fashion. I would love one of those as well, but maybe I need to think about it for next summer, because I'm kind of sick of the lace pattern, honestly. Like it's taking its toll on me. So that's 3 tops, summer tops, that I finished in the span of like a month or 2, which is pretty crazy, and if I do say so myself. I just think having a mix of like DK weight, sport weight, and fingering weight patterns has really helped me this year, because last summer I think I was knitting a lot of like purely fingering weight patterns, and yeah, having that little bit of variety is nice. So you get that extra bump of productivity once you finish something. Very pleased with how my totally unplanned summer knitting turned out. This year has been kind of hectic, and I wasn't planning as much as last year, but it turned out, you know, you don't always need to plan what you're gonna knit. I do have one last, this is jingly, gotta hold this. I do have one last finished object for this video, and you guys were all doubting me. But the jelly bag is done. Okay, it looks kind of sus because it doesn't have anything in it right now, but I swear to you, once you have something heavy in it, it stretches out and it looks pretty cute. And in the sun, it kind of has this like shiny, glittery effect to it, which I think is really cute. Let's see if I have anything to put in. Yeah, so if it's like not a bad amount of stuff, like this is just like a book, little book planner, but it definitely fits wallet, keys, and phone, plus a little knitting sock project or something. And it hasn't come apart. I know that was something that I was kind of worried about when I was making this, like if these bits that are kind of if it's not knit in one continuous thing, I was afraid that maybe the knots and stuff will kind of come undone, but that has not happened, and it looks very nice in my opinion. And the straps, I knit them a little bit shorter because I wasn't sure if they would stretch out. They do stretch out with wear. If you have stuff in it, it does stretch out, but it also maintains its shape. Once I take all the stuff out of it, it kind of like springs back to its original form, I guess. So I'm not like too worried about it being all like droopy and super loose and stuff. And this looks kind of messy like this, but when you have stuff in it, it stretches out and evens out, so it looks really nice. Once again, this project knit with Rex lace, or those boondoggle Scooby-Doo lace things. I used pretty much the entire roll. I think it was like 100 yards on that roll. So if you want to knit a bag the size, market bag the size with that, that is a perfect perfect amount of lace, Rex lace thing to get. But I don't predict that anybody will do this, because this is somebody was like, that sounds like a sensory nightmare, and honestly kind of, but it's a fun little project. You gotta experiment, you know, and I like how it turned out. The market bag, there's a ton of free patterns for market bags, so I would just use one of those, but the way that I did it was I knit a rectangle or square for the bottom with a smaller needle size, and then I switched to a very large needle size, and then I picked up all around the square and then like kept going up, and then I split the stitches into front and back, and then I cast off like 2 or 3 stitches in the in between those panels, so that I have a front and a back, and then I just knit the panels like a couple more rows up, and then I did I-cord for the straps, and then binding off the front and the back panels, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Just look up a pattern. Like, there's so many free ones on Ravelry that explain it 27 times better than I can. Yeah. So that's probably like the end of the summer bag knitting, crocheting, making that I will do this year, because after this, I didn't really feel like making more crazy bags. But it scratched that itch. Like, I feel like whenever the seasons turn, I want to buy like more accessories to kind of beef out my wardrobe. And then like making it with this kind of stuff kind of helps me not buy frivolously. So yeah, win-win. That's all the finished objects. And I have 2 work in progress projects. First work in progress project that rose from the grave, basically, is this knit or crochet blanket project. It's big. I think it's about what is that, 5 feet, 5 and change feet, 6 feet long, and then maybe like 4 feet wide, something like that. It's a big blanket. And this, if you're an OG, I talked about this blanket in my abandoned whips video, but that was like one of the first projects that I showed on this channel. So it's good to have it back in the rotation and then actually finish it. In that video where I went through my abandoned whips, I was just kind of talking about maybe I'll do something else with the yarn, or just like donate it, because I wasn't happy with working with mostly the Lion brand Hometown yarn, the thick and chunky one, the thick and quick or whatever. Those split so easily and it was just not pleasant to work with. So I was at Michael's and I picked up this Bernat blanket yarn. I think this is the one that everybody uses for literally everything, like amigurumi, like plush toys and blankets. This is kind of heavy, but it does feel really nice. It's kind of chenille, is that the word? It feels very fuzzy, and the texture is kind of different from this mystery Michael's yarn that I had, that was the original base of the blanket. But I think it makes a nice little contrast, so I bought 2 balls of this, and then I had whatever was left of this yarn, and I was just kind of like putting it together to make this blanket. So originally the pattern that I was using to make this was Sunrise Throw by Fast Kitty Crafts. And then my biggest problem with crochet is that I'm not really good at reading crochet patterns, and then I like to look at videos and I just kept forgetting where I was in the blanket and where in the pattern I was, and it just had too many stitches for a beginner's. Like, it's not a hard blanket pattern, it's just that for somebody like me who would pick this up and then put it down, pick this up, put it down, the switching of the different sections and stitches, I couldn't remember. So what I ended up doing was like rip it all back to just this beginning section with this kind of like moss seed stitch pattern, and then I carried that all the way up and then just gave the color variants in this like stripes format. So that's what I did with this, and I think it looks pretty nice. Although I got to like pretty much the top of the blanket, and then I realized that this section, the stitches here, are different from what I was using here. I don't know if you can tell, but this one is like a skip 1 stitch, slip stitch into the next one, and then chain 2. But this one is skip 1 stitch, single crochet, and then chain 1. I thought this was called moss stitch or seed stitch, so that's what I looked up with this, and then that's what I was doing. And then I got to the top and I was like, these kind of look different. So I looked up the original pattern and I was like, oh yeah, they're different. They're different stitches, so it's not that noticeable. but yeah, don't be like me, I guess. Huh. I'm gonna, this is not the best blanket in the world, right? Like, I just want it done, and I just want something that's usable. Like, I just want to have this finished so that I could have it in the house without it weighing on my mind as a work in progress pile. So I think it's serving its purpose. It's fine. Yeah. So I pretty much used up all of the 2 balls of Bernat blanket, and then now I'm going through the green blue yarn, and I just have this section left, and then I'm done with the blanket. And then I will use whatever's left of the green blue yarn to put fringe on the ends, I think, and then that'll be the end of this blanket. I kind of ran out of the Bernat blanket at the end, so it's not exactly symmetrical. Where it's pretty much symmetrical except for this end part, where here on the beginning end it has 2 kind of rows of the white here, but on the top there's only 1. And then I didn't realize this until I like started this section, and then I was already like 5 rows in and I noticed this. So I don't even know if I have enough yarn to mimic it, even if I ripped it back. So I'm just gonna keep going and I'm gonna finish, and it's fine. There will be a small little mistake that probably nobody will notice except me, so, and you, because I just told you. But that's the blanket. I'm really excited to have this, and I'm ahead of the season. It'll be fall and I'll already have a blanket ready to go. Wow. Can you believe that this is like the first blanket that I've ever made in my life? It's just, the big projects like that, it's really difficult to keep going, I think. I don't know how people do those temperature blankets. Do people do temperature sweaters? Like, is that something that I could do? But I guess, how would you work out 1 row at a time? Like, there aren't 365 rows in a sweater. Anyways, that's a blanket. And then I do have a new work in progress. This will be probably my last summer knitting. This is the Breezy sleeveless top by Kiss Rhinestones. And the pattern, when you buy the pattern, it comes with the long sleeve version and the sleeveless version. But I am knitting the sleeveless version. And if I can show you, I'm not that far. I'm just into the yoke part, and then I will just finish knitting the front yoke and then join under the arms and then just knit. Yeah, it's pretty simple in terms of construction, and I've been enjoying knitting this mostly because once I switched to wooden needles on this, it went so much faster. So I started knitting this with the Chiagu, the metal needles, and then combination with this yarn, it was just not a good match. So this yarn is great. Hold on. This yarn is a new acquisition, and this is from Juniper Moon Farm, and it's the Zooey soft cotton linen blend. It's 60% cotton and 40% linen, and it is 100 grams in here, which is 284 yards or 260 meters, and it's suggested to be knit on 3.25 to 3.75. I am knitting on size 4mm needles, so it's going to be looser than the gauge is looser than what is recommended. And I didn't gauge swatch, so I don't know if the top is going to turn out all right, but that's whatever. And the color is Twilight blue. So I got this yarn, I got 2 balls of this from Annie's Needlepoint and Co. in New York. It's on the Upper East Side. And yeah, I haven't, it was my first time there, but the store is really big and they have a lot of places where you can sit and knit. So I would definitely recommend you go if you're ever in the area. I was called by the blue yarns, and I wanted to try more I wanted to try more summer fibers, and I haven't actually tried linen before, so I thought a mix of cotton and linen would be good. This isn't like as heavy as like 100% pure linens that I've tried, So that's nice, but it's not really like a smooth fiber. It's got a bit of a thick and thin to it, and it's got a little bit of fuzz halo. I think it's really nice. I love the color, very electric blue. And I think it'll just look really nice and breezy with this top. Although, I do wonder if I needed to buy 2 balls, because I'm up to here and I still have a lot of this first ball left. I'm sure I needed 2 balls, but we'll see what happens. That's what I'm working on. It's looking really cute. I'm excited to have it. Hopefully I'll finish really quickly and be able to get some wear out of it without something over it before the summer goes away for good. There's a book swap in my neighborhood, and I went there with just to browse, and then I saw that somebody had donated a bunch of knitting stuff, knitting related books, so I picked all of them up. I say books, they're magazines, but they're mostly from the early 2000s and late 90s. So we have all of these: Knitters, Piecework, Interweave Knits, Cast On, Knitting Traditions. So those are like the early 2000s ones, late 90s ones, and they have a lot of very cool designs and a lot of knitting patterns. So I still haven't sat down and like gone through all of them, and then there's also a lot of interesting articles in here too, but that was a great find. And I have one that I thought was really interesting here. Like a bunch of these I feel like I would still wear now. So, and then they have a lot of classic designs, so I'm excited. Oh, also Knitters, they had this section where it's an ad for these 2 books, Maggie's Ireland and Aaron's and Celtics. I have this book. I bought this secondhand a little bit ago, so I thought that was so fun to see that a book that I own is on this page, on this magazine. Ah, here we go. Oh, gotta pull this back. This one. This is called the Shrug Pullover, and it's by Irina Tateslin. And I just think this one is so cute. It's very Y2K, and I would wear that now. And this is from the 2002 issue of Interweave Knits, so if you want to find it, that's where that is. So those are the magazines from early 2000s, and then I also found this. It's I don't know what this spinner in, but this is from 60s, early 60s, and it's got a bunch of these vintage patterns. Oh my god. And what a find. This one has water damage because it rained, and then the book swap is outside, so I have to be careful, like separating some of these pages. Oh god. Yeah, that one. That section might not be good. Okay, well, alright. Look. A suit. A dude with a pipe. Super cute. Yeah, so excited to peruse through this. I have to like split all the pages. Ooh. So it's a little delicate. Such a shame that it was left out in the rain. This one, look at how cute that is. Anyway, a great find in my opinion. So if you, I might try and look for these on like eBay or something, because I think the patterns are so cute. This coat is such a vibe too. I don't know if I have it in me to knit a coat, but Yeah, so if anyone has more information about any of those magazines, let me know, because I would be very interested in hearing more about them and where they come from, and if you've ever subscribed to them. I know Interweave still makes magazines and has a website and all that, so, but yeah. All right, well, that's it for this episode. I always say, like, I'm not gonna talk too much, like, this is gonna be a quick episode, and it always ends up being like 55 minutes of filming, and I'm just a yapper. I'm here to yap, yap, yap. Summer is coming to an end, but that means we're heading into fall, which will be such a great time for all the fall sweaters and stuff, and I'm excited to start knitting with woolly wools again and not overheat. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Let me know what you guys are working on, and catch you later. Bye!